hit it right now. And hey everyone, Dev with Crime Hive, and I have a special guest on here today. I am with Lynn Pagan, and she's got a message to share, and we're going to get this out to everyone on the Crime Hive community and everyone out there. And how are you doing today, Lynn?
Oh, I'm doing good so far. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I know you have an important message to share, and that's why we're doing this. What is that message? What are you hoping that the Crime Hive community and everybody around can hear today that you want people to know about?
Well, my son was killed 5 years ago. He was in the Army in Austin, in Fort Hood, Texas, but he was killed in Austin, Texas, and his case is still open, but it happened 5 years ago. They do have car parts, um, but it's been a hard 5 years because somebody committed a hit and run, a heinous crime in itself, and nobody so far has come forward, but we're sure the person knows that they hit a person, and we're sure that somebody else besides them knows. So for closure, we're kind of begging someone to please come forward and kind of give us closure to this type of misery.
Ah, no, absolutely. That's you've got a case here where this is your son you're talking about, Derrick, right? Derek Pagan is his name, and he, served his
Yes,
country in the Army at Fort Hood.
yes.
And he goes to Austin, Texas, and this is about 5 years ago, and someone apparently hits him with their vehicle. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, wow. And this is 5 years ago. Do you know what date it was specifically?
April 20, what was it, Laura, 25th, 26th? April 26th, 2015 is when he was killed.
April 26th, 2015. And I'm just taking some notes as we go here, if you're seeing me look down here. So April
Yeah.
26th, 2015. This took place in Austin, Texas. Do you know what intersection that was or what area that was?
Oh, I remember it was East Riverside. And what was that street, Laura? And I-83, I think it was. Yeah, East Riverside and 183 is where he was struck.
And 183. Okay. And this was on April 26th, 2015. And this is important. I'm resharing this information because if anybody happened to be in that area in Austin, Texas, around that intersection, East Riverside and 183, and again, it's on April 26th, 2015. We're trying to get more information about what may have happened to Derrick. Derrick how long was he in the Army at that time?
He was in the Army for 4 years at Fort Hood. He had just reenlisted again. His goal was to become a warrant officer. And before he found out that his thing went through for his reenlistment, um, and he was also supposed to get deployed within that coming year, he was killed before all that. So,
Before he had a chance to be deployed, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Wow. And so he gets hit that day. What did the police tell you? Do we know what type of vehicle this might have been? Do they have any information on what type of vehicle it could have been?
It was off of three of different kinds of white vehicles, which is on the Justice for Derrick site. There's an article there. I think it was through the Austin American Statesman, and it was three different kinds of vehicles that the paint matched up to. So we have an idea, but it's between such and such a year and such a year. I don't really remember that offhand, but I know all the information was in that article.
Okay. And we'll certainly and what I'll do is try to screen share this for everyone here listening so that you guys can go to that. And again, it's a Facebook page, Justice for Derrick. Is that correct? And
Yes.
what I'll do is let me see if I can pull that up right now where we're talking about this too. So I'm going to screen share this for everybody here. Um, yep. So I'm on the Justice. Can you see this here?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Did you check the date
So
on
I want everybody to look at this here. You know, this is really important. Okay, this is the Justice for Derrick Facebook page here. And
check his face?
I'm going to pull up some pictures here. So this is what he looks like. So everybody can see this is him right here.
That's the cross. Yeah, that's a friend of Derek, and that was the family that was with Derek that they found him that night on the road. There's a story behind that I'll share.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll show him first and we'll go back to that. Let me find a picture of Derrick here. Well, this might not be the one to go to. Let me see if I can go back here. So I'm going to click at it, exit out of this. So I want to make sure everybody can see Derrick, and let me see if I can pull up a couple here. These are a lot of the memorial. Okay, here we go.
That's one of them. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Derrick right here, and this was, looks like this is one year memorial at the time, and so he was struck in Austin, Texas. Okay, do you know why he went to Austin, Texas?
Well, Derek was supposed to go to a concert that he went to every year that he was in Texas. He liked the Life in Color concert, and he went each year. This year, particular year, he lost contact with his buddy, and he decided that he was going to walk back to the hotel. He got 3 miles from where the concert was, where he was struck. And when he was hit, his body was 200 feet from the point of where he was hit. I know that Derek was taken right out of his socks and shoes. Um,
Hmm.
and where would you want me to keep continuing from there?
So he was walking towards this concert.
Yeah. Well, he went to the concert. He lost contact with a friend that he was with, and he started walking. He made it 3 miles back toward a hotel that was like 2 miles away, where he could have then called up his buddy from the hotel that was a couple more miles down the road to come and get him from the hotel that they were at. But if Derek pretty well, he knew a lot about Austin. So he knew his way around because he had friends out that way.
Mhm.
But yeah, he was walking from the concert. He got hit. I'm going to probably say maybe somewhere around after 2 in the morning is when he got hit.
Okay, so this took place around 2 in the morning, um, into April 26th, 2015.
Yeah.
Okay, and he was at the concert. He starts walking back, perhaps to get back to this hotel. He had friends that went with him to the concert.
He had one friend that went with him, and somehow or another they lost contact. And in between them losing contact, I guess his friend found a ride and made it back to the hotel. Derek was trying to call people on his route on walking because he knew local people, and nobody happened to pick up their phone at the time of. And a couple of people to this day, they feel awful because they were like, oh my God, my phone died. Had my phone not died, Derek could have reached me. I could have helped him. But it was just, I guess, with everybody going to the concert, everybody kind of killed off their phones with pictures. So yeah, he was, before he died, he was making phone calls to people he knew in Austin, trying to locate himself a ride, but no one had picked up.
So no one had picked up. And did any of those people um, go and look for him? Did they try to? Do we know if they tried to search for him after receiving calls from him or anything like that?
Well, I don't think Derek left a message. I guess what he must have done, because it took my daughter and I time to get some information from the AT&T phone company. Derek was on the account with his sister, and we told the person, the operator, we said, look, this is important. We need the last few calls he made, and they gave them to us. And that's how we found out that he had called two girls that he knew down there. And he also called his voicemail, I guess, to see if he had any messages. But he didn't, I guess, from what I can gather, he didn't leave either one of the two people a message like, I'm stuck here, come get me. And it was around that time that by the time he made his last call, it was like right after that that he was, hit by another car. I mean, hit by a car.
Wow. Did he have any problems at that time with anybody in that area? Was there anything going on that would make him feel unsafe out there? Did he have things like that going on?
No, no, Derek, he got along with everybody. He was like a social butterfly. Everybody liked Derek. I mean, even if he dated someone and if they ended as friends, they really got along well as friends. I mean, everybody just liked his personality. He was a very funny person. He was very down to earth. So, I mean, everybody who met Derek liked Derek. So, even in the army, I mean, he didn't have any problems with anybody. He got along with everyone.
So it sounds like he didn't have any enemies or anything like that. He was well liked. He was well loved. It sounds like there was no one out there that would necessarily want to hurt him.
No.
Okay. And that's really important. And from what you're saying, 2 in the morning coming from this concert, and it's good that we have some lead, a white vehicle, and that particular concert is, I think, really important as well for people to know that may help jar some memories there. Can you say the name of that concert one more time?
It was called the Life in Color concert. They have it out in Austin, Texas, I think pretty much every year.
Life in Color. Okay.
Life in Color concert, yeah.
And and you know what I'm getting at from this too, just hearing it, from my experiences too, 2 in the morning, having been involved with hit and runs in the past too, taking reports for that and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, a lot of those ended up being situations where the person hitting someone or even just hitting another vehicle would do that and leave. A lot of times it was because they were impaired by something, perhaps alcohol, perhaps drugs, and they were impaired. Oftentimes they do that because they have a warrant. They have something. They're already running from police. They're already trying to get away from police, and they don't want to stick around. Um, and then there's times where, you know, it, people strike someone or they strike a vehicle, and they're scared. They don't know what to think. They don't know what to do. They're worried that they're perhaps going to be sent to jail or prison for the rest of their lives, and they don't come forward. But those kind of circumstances, the law can work in their favor with those not being, if it was an accident, and obviously they should have stayed on scene, but they didn't, and that's why this is turned into such a horrific crime, all on its own. Not just the, I mean, the fact that he was killed is just awful. It's horrendous that that happened, and then to make matters worse, this person or people left that scene, didn't render aid, didn't attempt to save his life from what it sounds like. And did police find anything else around that scene that may have been helpful? Did they find any other information about that besides the white paint chips?
Well, that took about 8 months for us to find out about the white paint chips. And then they had to compare it to what type of vehicle had that specific paint. Besides his shoes and his socks, I know there were beads, from, him being at the concert and probably his glow sticks. I know he was 200 feet from point of impact. I know that there was a gentleman that came along, saw Derek in the road. He pulled over his car and he was out in the middle of the street with his white t-shirt, waving it, trying to, get everybody to get into the other lane. And that's when Veronica and Joe, the two people I told you about in that picture, they were coming home from a wedding, saw the guy in the middle of the road waving the t-shirt, And they swung there when they noticed there was a body in the road. They swung around and they came to help Derrick and to help the guy that was trying to get the police and the ambulances there. So Veronica had told the man, "Let me, give me your phone. Let them tell, let me tell them where we are." And she did. And she stayed there and used her car to block my son's body to protect it from any further damage. So whatever the police have, like in car parts, and by 8 months later, when they finally got to find out the paint type, it's just to point out what the detective and I are hoping to do is by getting the word out there, we're hoping that somebody is going to come forward and turn themselves in, or maybe a person who knows what happened is going to say, "Look, I can't keep this on my conscience anymore. I have to talk." I mean, if you look at the way Derek was hit, he was on the hood of their car at some point. The bodily damage that Derek went through, he had a hole in the back of his head, one of his arteries split. He had two discs in his back, which would have had him paralyzed for life, um, punctured lungs. He bled out basically internally within the chest cavity. He had problems with both his legs. One leg was worse than the other. Most likely, I think I saw something with bleeding on the brain, of course, while he had all this other damage going on from his heart and his lungs. He he was hit pretty hard to have such damage and then to be 200 feet from point of impact where his body laid. Um, I mean, Veronica and Joe to this day, when we talk, they still break down and cry over Derek. And that's how Veronica and Joe and I became a family together because they were there with my son until help arrived, although it was kind of too late by then.
Mhm. How long after when did do you know when police arrived or when the ambulance arrived around?
Had to be, I don't know how long the initial man was there. He didn't want to be identified. I mean, he was traumatized. He was the one that initially made the 911 call. But the poor man was so traumatized that I wanted to thank him. And the detective told me he can't, I guess he was really traumatized. I mean, God, I would be. And so Veronica and Joe, they were there, and Veronica and Joe, did what they had to do. They took a statement. The police did from them, and then the police had everyone go. I don't think it took all that long. I think after Veronica and Joe got there, it had to be within 5 minutes, maybe thereabouts.
Hmm, okay. And it sounds like police, from what you were saying, it sounds like they did a thorough investigation. They interviewed everyone. They interviewed the person that made the initial call. Uh, they spoke to everyone that you know of that was connected to that scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And have they told you any new updates from any of that information besides the car? Did they tell you that they have some new leads to look into, or they have a potential suspect, anything like that?
They thought they did at one point. They almost thought that they hit lucky, but it happened that the person was at another place arrested for something else. Um, I mean, the detective tried a lot of different avenues, looking for, somebody who could have had the front end done or definitely a new windshield done. Um, they went to different body shops, but I mean, nothing was really coming up. So, as each year, I mean, I talk to my detective like every 6 months or so. We have a conversation, and he said if only someone would give us a lead. And I told him I'm going to do everything I can to get the word out there so that we get a lead. So not only can he solve the case, but we desperately need answers. And it's not just me and Derek's sister, Laura. It's also his Army family. It's our, the rest of our extended family. We have made quite a few close friends from pretty much all over the country on Facebook, and a lot of people have become close to our family because of what happened to Derrick. So God works in mysterious ways, and you never know that by getting these podcasts out, and on top of that, we usually try to make a trip to Texas every year or every other year. And with COVID, we couldn't make it for the 5-year anniversary. So we're waiting till COVID is through, and then we'll go back to Texas, and then the media comes out and we put the word out again. And as long as I keep the word out there with my daughter, that's how we're going to maybe eventually, hopefully, get answers one day. Uh, it's just so unfair not to know who can run somebody down, leave them there, and just go on with life. I mean, while they have their life, excuse me, we have misery, we have sadness, we have unanswered questions, and it's not right to put any living human being through something like this. I mean, if they would have stopped and rendered help, that would have been great. Okay, maybe they would have been arrested, maybe they would have gone to jail, but whoever it was chose not to. So while our family and Army family has been tortured all these years, they're out there still doing their life. And how do they live with themselves is what I want to know.
Yeah, that's, I'm with you on that completely. And, I'm really hoping that someone can see this video and just get some piece of information that may be helpful in this. Oftentimes there's a lot of cases where maybe the person doesn't want to come forward, right? But maybe they were with somebody, and maybe that relationship has soured. The relationship has gotten worse, or maybe they also have this guilty conscience, and they want to release that. And they have some information they've been holding on to for so long, for so many years now. And we want that person, whoever that is, to come forward. We want them to give not just you, your family, and the entire Army family too. This is the Fort Hood Army that we're talking about here, right? His friends uh, through Fort Hood, the Army base. Um, Really, you're seeking justice here, and that's what we're trying to do. So if there is a way that someone seeing this video can share anything, what would you recommend they do?
Uh, if someone could just call the Austin Police Department, and they have an 800 number. I don't have that one offhand. I should have wrote it down and I forgot to, but it is on the Justice for Derek site. To leave a tip doesn't cost anybody anything. It really doesn't. And I mean, it's worth it. It's worth leaving a tip to say, look, I know who did this. Let the police, pull the person in. And I mean, one day, and I mean, I know this might sound strange, but if they ever found the person, I'd actually want to go to the jail and talk to them and ask them why. I have questions I want answered. Can I eventually forgive? It's kind of hard. And even if I did or do, will I ever forget? No. The hardest part for me is you left him lie there in the road for maybe another car to hit him. And in all honesty, that's hard. I mean, it really is hard.
That's awful. And obviously I'm pulling, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to pull up the number here too, just the non-emergency here. There's a few different numbers. It looks like the main one here for someone to reach out, and you can call any of these really, but 512-974-5000. You can call, they have different precincts, it looks like. Do you know which one you specifically went to? Which precinct? Do you know which address it was or what road it was off of?
512. The number is 512. Laura's telling me she's looking it up. 512
563
563
6233.
6233. She's trying to look.
I
Do you have one of the numbers that sounds about that familiar?
Let's see. I'm not finding. So there's quite a few different ones, and you could get a hold of the Austin Police Department. But can you say that number one more time, that specific number, and we can get that out? I'm gonna just type it here in the Google bar here.
Yeah, Laura, pick out the number that you had for the 1-800. What? It's not 800. 512
512.
563
563
6233.
6233.
Okay, 512-563, and then we've got 6233. Okay, so that's the number, you guys. If you guys are listening to this, watching this here, give the Austin police a call. We are looking for answers here. A life was taken. It never should have been taken. There was the potential possibility that Derrick could have survived had this person stopped, and they didn't. We're trying to find out if there was more than one person involved in this. If you know anything, if you happen to be in that area, East Riverside, 183, and this was at a concert, Life in Color concert. So this would be a very specific time, a very specific memory. If anybody happened to be in that area, if you saw anything suspicious, if you saw, maybe you heard a conversation that's sparking this conversation here, anything that could be related, anything helps, any small clue. The family's torn. I mean, you can see right here, the family just wants answers. Is there anything else that you think could be helpful for the Crime Hive community to know that could be helpful for this investigation?
What I was just thinking about in my mind as you were speaking, people have to look at this can be a member of your family. Like my daughter Laura, she's been sitting here listening to the podcast. When Laura and Derek were small, I raised them from that time up, not only to be brother and sister, but to be good to each other, to love each other, and to look out for each other. I always raised my kids telling them, if anything happens to me, you make sure you look after each other. And as they got older, to teenage years, to adult years, when Derek was in Fort Benning, before they sent him to Fort Hood, we were all at the hotel talking, and we had that same conversation about, if anything should happen to me, I want you, Derek, to make sure your sister is okay. You hold up the house together. That is your safe haven. Well, my daughter and my son were not only brother and sister, they were best friends. Laura lost her best friend. And with all the deaths that are going on, especially like Army based wise, people are losing brothers, sisters. These people have mothers, fathers, nieces, nephews, uncles. This could be anybody's family. And until you lose somebody that you really love, you really have no idea how bad this heartbreak is. I mean, my little granddaughter, she's 7 now, she still takes Uncle Derek's picture at night and cries with it because she doesn't have her uncle. Every year for Uncle Derek's birthday, we have a cake. She blows out the candles for Uncle Derek. Um, she misses him. I mean, she was supposed to meet him when he was supposed to come home for the visit, which was on Memorial Day. So not only is April bad for us, but so is May, because that's when Derek was coming home, was for Memorial Day. But I mean, my little granddaughter, from the time she was like 4 years old till now, she cries over her uncle. I mean, to put a family through this kind of hell is horrible. We'll never get Derek back, and we know that. But just knowing that somebody didn't help to solve this case, knowing what they know, that's where the pain is for all of us.
Hmm. That's, again, I feel for you guys. I feel for your family. You shouldn't have to go through something like this. And that's, you've conveyed a message today for everyone. And I think it's important for everyone. Uh, you've got loved ones out there. We all have loved ones out there, and, and her loved one was taken before he should have been taken. He was serving our country, was about to be deployed, and his life was taken in a way that just, you know, it's very upsetting. It's very traumatizing. It's just, you know, it's a very sad story. And you know, I'm hoping that somebody can get something from this message. And if you have anything, again, please reach out to that phone number. You can also go to the Facebook group, Justice for Derrick. You can also, you know, from this video, comment below. Let us know if you have anything. If there's anything, we'll help steer you in the right direction. And that's all I have for this video. Do you have anything else to add before we end it, Lynn?
No, like I said, I just hope that somebody comes forward with some type of information. And if it wasn't for people like you to help out people like me, uh, it we'd probably never get answers. So people like you give us hope. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that very much. And I'll keep an eye on this as well. And if I have any new answers or any new information from anybody, I will immediately let you know on that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I very much appreciate that.